Good afternoon, my name is Jaidyn, I'm one of the teachers here at Vincent Music, and today I'm just giving you a bit of a guitar lesson, just a bit of a basic overview on some of the key fundamentals of guitar, whether that be a few little scales, a few little chords, and just going from there. So, I'm going to start with the chord revision first. So, some of the chords that we have, so just previously note, I'm playing on a steel string, so it'll have harder calluses. If you're playing on a nylon string, or if you're playing on a steel string, it does make a difference in terms of the amount of calluses that there might be. But first things first, let's just start off with a basic review of our chords. We have our E minor, one of the first chords that we learn. And then we have an E major. And then leading and taking everything down the fret one bit to an A minor. And then changing position to an A major. D major, and then D minor, and then going back to A minor very briefly, but then taking our third finger, taking it up to fret 3 on the A string, to a C major, and then going to G major. A few different ways you can play this one. My personal favorite is kind of going for a third, so third the ring finger on the high E string, so ring finger on the third fret of the high E string, and then putting your index finger, finger number 1, as the support. Cool. So just leading in from that, one of the first things that's kind of really important to do, other than learning about our chords, is some of our scales. Scales are really used just to keep our fingers kind of in check. Or at the very least, just kind of warm us up. One of the kind of things, for instance, that I like to do, and taking into account that I'm going to be introducing what's called a chromatic scale. It's a very basic chromatic scale because sometimes you can have a lot of complicated chromatic scales going up and down the fretboard. But what I'm going to be doing is just on the 4th fret, going from our open to the 4th fret on each string. So I'm going to be demonstrating as such, going from the bottom E string all the way up to the top E string. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. Now, you might have noticed that one of the notes might have doubled up a little bit. And that's because on the 4th fret of the G string has the exact same note frequency as the open B string. So what you can do is that you can do what I did and play the 4th fret as well, but you can just simply avoid that, making it sound closer to 0, 1, 2, 3 on the G, and then just skipping all the way to just right next to the B string. Now, this will take time. When it comes to learning the chromatic scale, what I would highly recommend is just starting on one string at a time, one finger at a time. Easiest one to start with? Start with your low E string, just to make sure that your fingers have the most amount of support that you have, and making sure that we're not using one finger at a time. I mean, one finger at a time, but what I mean more so is that when we're hitting a note, making sure that the other fingers are on there. For instance, when I'm hitting the 2nd fret E, the 2nd fret on the E string, for F sharp / G flat, what I'm doing is that I'm supporting my index finger there as well. And then for the G, similar process. I'm using my other fingers as a support. And same as well for this G sharp / A flat. So my fingers are there as a support. And then when the time comes, you're going to repeat the same process. So leading on from the E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. So the reason why it's chromatic is that all of these notes quite literally blend into one another. So leading into the piano as well, because I teach piano as well, one of the important scales on the piano is also the chromatic scale. And the reason why this is important these notes come clearly, and as best we can, and that will take time, is making sure that all of these notes have a sense and structure to them. With the guitar, it's very much the same. Although the instrumentation is different and the way we use our fingers is different, the structure is the same. Now you might have noticed that I just simply went up the 2 octaves. That's part of the habit as well. But take your time in learning this particular scale. It is something that is going to take a bit of patience, and it is going to take a bit to develop the finger strength to do the scale, ascending in terms of the notes. But then also going back down. So when it comes to going back down, it's a similar yet reversed process. So, when it comes to learning these particular scales, making sure that whatever way we start off with, whether it's just starting with the low E string as we did with ascending, making sure we have that support there. Because one of the things that I do remember learning when I was first starting my learning journey on the guitar, if you don't know how to support yourself, it's going to make things very tense. So making sure that whatever string we start off with, I'm just using this different example of the G string because that's that one string, or which is kind of the anomaly of the rest of them. Cool. So another scale that I want to briefly revise upon is our C major. C major is a common one, at least to kind of start off with, but I just kind of want to touch on it. So using some of the concepts that we just talked about with our chromatic scale, I want to make sure that we can kind of use it as a way to support ourselves, right? So, with our C major, it goes such as like this. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and reverse as such. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Right? So, in this particular case, when going about our scale, again, using that concept of more than one finger there as a support. So, and just making sure that the hand moves down, not just the fingers. Because eventually there'll be coming a time where you'll have to change positions. Pardon me. So a similar position, but making sure that that hand is still used as kind of a support. So, just very briefly going over these scales again, you can use, while I have my preferred fingering, when we do start off, it is best to use fingers 2 and 3, index finger and middle finger, right? Because it will take a while before you develop ring finger strength as well as little pinky finger strength. And even then, the pinky finger is not always the one that's most used, right? I like to use it, but and it does become important later because you can develop the strength of it. But when we first start off, let's just use our index finger and our middle finger. So that'd be regular fingers 2 and 3, but in guitar terms, we use that as our finger 1 and our finger 2. So finger 2, 3rd fret of the A string. So middle finger there. So we're on C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So I'm using guitar fingers 1 and 2 only. Now note, I'm not intentionally holding these out. That will create tension if you try to do that. But just let the fingers relax when they're playing. When the others are playing, right? So I'm using guitar fingers here and here. Middle finger as well as index. So just going over C major. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. we do the eventual reverse of that one. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So in terms of the fret numbers that we need to go for, they are all between opens, so our open strings, and the most that we end up really using is our fret 3. So open to fret 3. So we have fret 3 on the A, open on the D, 2 and 3 on the D, open on the G, second fret on the G, second finger as well, second guitar finger as well, open on the B, and then we have our first finger on our first. So for this one we have, ironically enough as we are, our first finger on the C. This is the only time that first fret is used within the scale. Right? Now, when we're ready to start using some more advanced fingers, we don't need our pinky finger here, but what we can do is that we can use our third finger. And you'll see that my hand's partly out of habit, but it's already assembled itself into a C major position. So I'll briefly demonstrate. So it's not as if the notes have changed, it's just the fingering has changed. So we have finger 3, open, finger 2, finger 3, open, finger 2, open, and finger 1. Other than a few little moments, a few little movements, the scale stays the same. So, just a brief kind of summary of the lesson, just a bit of a kind of revision of the chords. I don't think I touched upon D minor actually. Pardon me. But very briefly going over the chromatic scale, doing that very slowly. So making sure that we become with one string at a time, going very slowly, making sure we keep good support that's there. And with the C major scale, whatever way you want to try it, but I would highly recommend using our index and our middle finger first. While there will be a little bit of shifting going on, we need to get comfortable with the scale before we start doing any more kind of advanced maneuvers. Anyway, hoping you have a good day and hope you enjoy. Take care.